It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is brand new music from an album called Enemies and Lovers. That is the brand new project featuring this guy on the line, the guitarist, Keri Kelli, and Tim Ripper Owens and Rudy Sarzo. And it's an all-star project called A New Revenge. And this guy is, he's going to bring the new revenge to us right now. It's guitarist Keri Kelli. Kerry, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, my man. Hey, thank you for having me, and good day to you. I know it's a great day for you out there in Browns football territory, huh?
It most certainly is, man. But I got, Kerry, it's a weird thing because as a music fan, I cannot fathom how this is the first time I've ever spoken to you. But this is the first time I've ever spoken to you, man. This is, which is fun for me.
All right. Well, here I am, man. I'm live coming into your eardrum.
Very nice, man. Well, Kerry, let's start with the obvious. The reason you're calling is this new record, Enemies and Lovers. It is a fantastic record, and not only is it a fantastic record, but I think it's going to surprise a lot of people, because not so much because of you, but because of the way Ripper Owens has kind of adapted his vocals for the first time to fit something a little more hard rock and less metal and more melodic.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand what you're saying. I mean, I think that the songs, they are kind of like some good classic hard rock or of tunes, great, cool guitar riffs and things like that. But then it also kind of has some, new kind of production sounds, which I think are cool. But yeah, I mean, I think Ripper did an incredible singer. The guy is a lord, man. I hail the guy, man. But yeah, I mean, there's all the screams on there that Ripper from, and there are definitely some elements of some heavier tunes on there, and then songs that are maybe more commercial. But like I said, I just think he did a fabulous job, to where it's just not what people sometimes might expect, screaming
right
the whole time and, over the top metal. Like I said, I really am proud of the album, and I think that everybody involved did a great job.
Sure, most certainly, man. So, Kerry, how exactly did this band come together? I mean, did you guys all know each other and just wanted to work together, or is it something that sort of got put together, or how exactly did this thing come to be?
Yeah, well, I mean, we all knew each other or had played together in various projects or like these other kind of, jam scenarios and stuff. But I'll try to make the story really short here. But how it went down was like in like about, I don't know, maybe about 8 years ago, approximately 7 years ago, when I was playing with Alice Cooper, it was an Alice Cooper Scorpions tour, and it was a month long. It was the whole damn country we did, from one side to the other, from East Coast all the way to the West Coast. And we had this big plane. They had a 747 plane for us. It was awesome. So it was us and the Scorpions. So every day you'd kind of travel, and you had a lot of downtime. Like usually would have a day off, and then you play, and then another day off, a travel day, and then play. So a lot of downtime. And me and James had been friends, and we played in some other bands. And we said, hey, let's try to do something. Let's do something different or whatever, outside of our main projects. And yeah, let's do it. We are talking to the promoter over there, who is a great friend of ours and one of the biggest promoters in Russia. He does everybody, Ozzy and Green Day and all this kind of crap. And he said, hey, if you put a cool band together, I'll bring you guys over here. So we started just brainstorming. We go, who should we get to sing? Well, we need to get, Tim Owens to sing. Okay, cool. So now who do we got to play bass? Let's get Rudy. So basically we just got home. I called the guys up and I said, hey, do you guys want to do something? It was more like a jam band at that time. We would just kind of play songs from each of our respective projects or bands, Ozzy, Scorpions, etc., Judas Priest. And I go, hey, the promoter over there in Russia would bring us over there, and we do a couple weeks worth of dates. Rudy goes, oh, I know that guy. He's great. I did a bunch of shows with him with Dio and Tim. Oh, yeah, fine, cool, let's do it. And it was really that simple. We came in, we rehearsed one day of rehearsal because we had the set list that we were going to do. Went over there, played like 10 shows, and they were they exceeded our expectations. We thought we were just going to play some clubs for like 200 or 300 people.
Sure.
We were playing like shows from like 1,000 to like 3,000 people.
Wow.
We couldn't believe it, honestly. So that's kind of how the whole thing started. And then it just kind of over time, like I said, it's literally been X amount of years. It's kind of developed, and now we finally have this friggin' record out.
Sure.
Or coming out.
Sure. Well, with that, you know, with you guys being so busy in so many different projects, how difficult was it to come up with new material? And specifically what I mean is not only writing, because I know all you guys can obviously write music, that's what you do, but because you're in so many different projects, how difficult was it to come up with ideas that you felt needed to stick organically to this group of people instead of like you giving it to Night Ranger or Tim giving it to Spirits or Fire or whatever?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did a few different tours. We did I think we did 3 or 4 tours of Russia. We did some Scandinavian shows, and we did some European shows in Belgium and stuff like that. But it really just evolved organically.
Okay.
And it was after we did a couple of tours, we would only do them twice a year. It wasn't like we were, out going crazy playing
Sure.
every month. It was hey, we do a couple of weeks here in April, and then, hey, we can do a couple of weeks in November. So after the first 3 or 4 kind of times we did these couple weeks here, couple weeks there, we said, hey, maybe we should write some songs. Everybody kind of has these home studios these days. Mm-hmm. And we wrote 2 songs, I think, in the beginning, which I think Here's to Us was the first song we wrote, and then The Way. And it was very easy and organic. I wrote some riffs. I sent them over, drum machine and shit like that, or drum loops used these days, mm-hmm. drum programs on Pro Tools. Yeah. Sent them over to Tim. Tim kind of did his stuff at his house in Ohio, sent it back to me. Then I kind of worked on it a little bit more. James came over and kind of played some drums, and that's kind of how we just did demos that way, and we kind of worked on it in pieces. It wasn't like we just said, hey, this month let's write, 25 songs and do them. It was a couple songs here, then a month or 2 later, I'd send Tim 2 or 3 other songs, and he'd go, oh, I'm not really liking this one, but I like these 2. And so we kind of work on those. So it was really kind of done very organically and very at our own pace. I mean, it took a few years to get it all together. We wrote probably about 20 or so songs, maybe a little over 20 songs, and then we ended up recording 12 for the record. I think there's a couple of bonus songs that are going to be coming out, like Japan Market and things like that.
Very cool. Now for you, Keri, as kind of, I'll call you a musical chameleon, which I don't know is fair or not, but I mean, you've obviously been able to step into any band and adapt to their style and their sound and whatnot to fit. Does that make the creative process for doing something that does not have the boundaries around it easier or more difficult for you, with this project? Because literally you don't have a blueprint to work toward. Yeah.
I mean, I found it kind of easier, to be honest with you. I mean, not to get too long-winded on this, but, even back in the old days when I was just a kid starting out and, your little local bands and I was always the guy that had the recording gear. I had the 4-track recorder, and then I got the 8-track recorder, then the 16-track, and then Pro Tools came out and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I've always been writing songs and doing the demos and all that crap, which I still do, myself, even if we're not working on a record. I write little ideas and stuff. But yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, when I was submitting songs to Alice for that, you're kind of thinking of what would Alice do, or what's Alice's vibe, or even Night Ranger for that matter. The last record, you're trying to write things that, wow, that kind of has a Night Ranger sound. It's a cool feel. All good and dandy, because yes, you do need to kind of fit in the parameters. But with this was very cool that I would just write, these musical ideas, kind of make it into a song, musically, and then I'd send them to Tim and see if he got a vibe for him, and I said, sometimes I'd send him 2 or 3 ideas and he goes, I like that one. So it's okay, well, cool. So that one we would kind of develop. But we wrote many more songs, or I wrote many more riffs, and he was like, oh, no, I'm not feeling that one. But it was cool because I kind of just did whatever.
Sure.
that I thought sounded cool, and then I'd bounce it off of Tim, and then the ones that we wanted to develop, then we'd start developing them further. So I thought it was way more freedom than trying to write something in the vein of Skid Row or in the vein of Alice or in the vein of Night Ranger, etc.
Sure. Exactly. Well, Keri, certainly fans right from the start hearing this have reacted pretty well to it. I mean, the way he had really good response to the video, and to,
Yep.
it just seemed like you guys took right off. Were you expecting that, or what does a guy like you expect going into a project like this, I guess, is a better question.
I mean, not really. I don't really have too much expectations. I mean, like I said, I honestly think that we did a really good job on the record. Writing and recording, everybody did a fantastic job. The mixing and everything. And like I said, we really took it slow and developed it. It wasn't like we were rushing we need 10 songs this month or anything. So I'm very proud of the record, and I'm just happy that the record is coming out, and we're going to unleash it on the hard rock community, and hopefully it resonates with some people. I mean, it's art, it's whether somebody likes it or they don't. I had a great time creating it with the guys, and I'm continuing creating, whether it's with this project or the new Night Ranger or whatever, because that's what I enjoy doing, man, is writing songs or writing riffs or, bringing things to life.
Right on. Now the record companies, plural, did not do you any favors putting this out basically on the back of Three Tremors and Spirits of Fire, now did they?
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother thing, which I don't know all the logistics on all that. But, they plan to put it out like you've got to do it like 4 months ahead of time.
Right.
It's not like you just go, hey, let's put it out like, okay, in 5 weeks. You set up all this digital, crap and all this stuff that I don't know all about. But, yeah, they set the release dates on records like usually about 4 months out. But,
right.
Hey, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm just proud of the record, and I'm happy that it's coming out here soon.
No doubt. Now, Keri, are you guys gonna have the opportunity to play some shows around the country or in certain cities, or what does that look like?
Well, obviously we would love to do that, and I've gotten asked this question here a lot the last couple of weeks.
Sure.
Obviously, the thing is once again it comes down to logistics and carving the time out. Even like I said earlier, when we first kind of started the project and we're doing those shows I was telling you about in Scandinavia and Europe and shit like that, we would only do like a couple weeks here, and then at the end of the year, a couple weeks in spring, a couple weeks maybe in fall. Obviously now with the record, you usually want to go out there and try to play and promote it. But, I'm pretty locked up with Night Ranger
right.
now through the summer. So we're hoping that if we can do something, that it would probably be most likely like sometime in the fourth quarter. So we're still a ways out, but we're hoping to carve out some time and get out there and play. We do have some things that are brewing. Some people have reached out and stuff about some territories, but yeah, probably not. Unfortunately, not till the fourth quarter of the year, probably.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, Keri, let me ask you 2 or 3 questions that are not necessarily related to this band, but just things that I have on my list of things I wanted to get from you.
Absolutely.
My favorite thing that I ever saw you perform in, and I've seen you with 15 bands, I think. You've been in so many projects, but my favorite thing that I ever saw you do was when you were out with Slash. And
oh yeah.
And I love the record. I know you weren't, at least I think you didn't play on the record, but you toured on Ain't Life Grand. And
yes.
What happened to Rod Jackson? I thought he was incredible, and he just went away.
I heard from him about a year ago. He's still here in L.A.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what he's doing. I know he sang on some demos from some people the last couple of years in the studio that he works at with some other Swedish dudes, friends of Johnny, who is the bass player in the band, Johnny Blackout. Yeah. But I really, to be honest with you, I love the guy too. His voice was man, he was brutal, man. He was awesome. But I don't really know what he's been doing, and I haven't physically seen him for probably at least 5 or more years, but possibly 7 years, honestly.
Okay.
So it's really too bad. But I mean, hey, like I said, I don't know everything what he's doing personally, but
sure.
I mean, the entertainment business or the music business, whatever you want to call it, I mean, it's rough, man. You
Sure.
gotta be a shark, man. You gotta keep swimming at all times and keep moving, man. It's not for the faint of heart. And I'm not saying that that's his situation. I'm
Sure.
just saying the business is friggin' hard, man.
No, I definitely hear you there, man. Well,
Yeah.
one I'm curious about, do you think that you own every record that you've played on?
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. usually it's nice when whoever, if you're just doing a guest spot like a solo or something like that, it's nice if they send you a copy or two for your reference. I probably do not have every one. But I played on a bunch of stuff, man. I've kind of slowed down here recently because, I mean, dude, the Night Ranger,
Sure.
the last 5 years, I mean, they play so much and they're fly in and outs, man. Like, and then I have my restaurants in Vegas too. So I'm in Vegas like every other week, and then I'm flying with Night Ranger usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's like I don't have enough time, man.
Right.
It's hard, man. It's hard for me to carve time out for myself, dude. I got to tell you.
Sure. I mean, and it is, if you go to your Wikipedia page, which I did a little bit just to, make sure that I was aware of things. It is an amazing list of bands that you have played in. I mean, played and written for and written songs for.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just bands. I think there's like 16 bands that you've actually been in.
Probably.
That's
well, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's before the restaurant thing, and we don't get too much into that, which we've been going for 10 years, so that takes up a lot of my time. But prior to that, I mean, playing music, honest to God, was the only thing I really had done in my life. I mean, I never had a job or anything like that. I mean, I just really worked really hard and played with whoever I could play with. And then I obviously started getting some breaks and stuff, and I just kept pushing along, man. Like I said, like a shark, dude, you just got to keep going.
No doubt, man. How
and
does...
it's so cool. I've met so many great people and musicians and these bands that I've been able to play with, which I think is very interesting. I think it's very cool because, like, some people, for instance, I mean, even like, whatever, I don't know, say in Night Ranger, like Brad, the other guitar player, Brad Gillis, legend, fucking killer dude. He's pretty much only played with those 4 or 5 guys for literally almost 40 years, because he and Jack and Kelly were in another band before Night Ranger called Rubicon.
Right.
So literally he's only been exposed to like those guys, dude, for 40 years, which is great. And they're awesome, and they've had great success and great catalog. But what I'm getting at is it's really cool for be able to play with, like the personalities and the dudes when I was in Slash's band, and then whatever, the guys in Alice, and then the guys in Skid Row or playing with Vince, from Motley. And, I've got to get more influence and more, vibes. I think it's cool, man. I think it's interesting. And I've had a great career so far, in my opinion, because especially I know how rough the damn thing is.
Right. What do you think it is about you that gets you that call? Because I mean, you're a great guitar player, but there's a million great guitar players, but you're that guy that gets the call. There's a few of you guys out there that will get that call, above everybody else. And I never understand it. Is it just because you've played with other people and you made the right connections, or is there something?
Well, I think especially now, I mean, after, 25 years of kind of playing quote unquote professionally, you kind of know a lot of people. Obviously, a lot of guys in the industry, a lot of the crew guys, and obviously, the tour managers or the guys in the bands. So it's kind of like you're in the loop a little bit on a lot of these things, and it just comes up, dude. You never know, dude. I've been sitting here many times, dude, and you never know who's going to be calling you. You look down and and it's Slash. You know what I mean? I had known him before anyway, but I mean, it's like I didn't expect him just to call or whoever and say, hey, you come over to the house. Do you want to be in the band? You know what I mean?
Right.
But, or Skid Row, when I played with them, they called me on a Thursday. Hey, Keri, can you come out and play with us, dude? We need some help or whatever. And I said, yeah, when? They go, tomorrow. And I'm like, literally, it was on Thursday. I was sitting here at my house, which I'm still in the same house now. Can you come out tomorrow? They booked me a flight. I had to leave at like 6 a.m, fly out, play the show Friday and Saturday. So you just never know who's always answer your phone. You never know who's calling.
Right. No doubt, man. Well, Keri, people should, if they do nothing else, maybe it won't be on their phone, but they should definitely put on whatever they listen to music to. They should check out this new record. The band is called A New Revenge. The record is called Enemies and Lovers. I really, really like this record a lot. I think it's a fun record. It's straight up hard rock / heavy metal, though, just straight up classic metal, I guess, man. It's a good record. And as a tradition on the show, Keri, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the record to lock up the interview. Maybe tell us a quick story about it. So what would you like us to finish the interview with?
So, I mean, you had touched on this song earlier, The Way. This was actually the second song that we wrote. And, I mean, I really loved it because I came up with the guitar riff, the intro riff. It's really that metallic kind of staccato riff. And then I just kind of, like I said, I put it together with the drum loops and stuff, and then the bass driving, send it to Tim. I don't even know if we had the chorus yet. It was just kind of like that verse riff. And then he, came over the top with those vocals that are in between the holes of the guitar riff. And I loved it. I mean, it's literally one of probably my top 3 songs on the whole record, The Way. I think it's awesome.
Awesome. Well, let's check it out right now. It is The Way. It is A New Revenge right here on your Classic Metal Show.